Hello and welcome. Today, we're digging into one of the biggest, toughest challenges in technology. How do you build enterprise-grade AI that can actually work in the real world? And to do that, we're going to look at one of the most demanding environments you can possibly imagine, the legal industry.
So, why lawyers? Why focus there? Well, because if you can build an AI that a lawyer trusts, you've basically built a fortress. The problems you have to solve in the legal world are a perfect mirror for the challenges of scaling AI anywhere. It's the ultimate stress test, and that kind of pressure, well, that's where real innovation happens.
So let's meet our protagonist for this story, Harvey. Harvey is an AI platform that's been specifically designed for law firms. And its job isn't simple. We're talking about helping with really demanding work. Things like drafting complex contracts, analyzing case files that are thousands of pages long, and just generally making sense of these incredibly intricate legal workflows. Now, to really get what a huge challenge this is, you have to appreciate the different scales of data that are at play here. Harvey has to work on three completely different levels. You've got the small scale, right? An on-demand assistant looking at maybe a few dozen documents. Then you scale up to project vaults for big cases with thousands of files. And then there's the big one, global data corpuses, which are basically entire legal libraries for a whole country. And when I say massive, I mean it's almost hard to wrap your head around. A single one of these corpuses can have over 10 million documents. And listen, these are not tweets or little emails. We are talking about incredibly long, dense legal documents packed with jargon. The scale is just absolutely staggering. So, how in the world does an AI make sense of all this stuff? Well, the magic behind it is a technique called Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG for short. This is the secret sauce that keeps an AI grounded in reality, forcing it to base its answers on actual facts from the documents it's given, so it doesn't just make things up. And for a lawyer, where the facts are literally everything, this RAG process, it's not just a feature, it's a gauntlet. It's like the final boss of AI challenges. And that gauntlet has a few core hurdles. You've got that massive scale we just talked about. Then you have to deal with incredibly complicated questions from users who are experts in their field. The data itself is a language all its own, dense with legal terminology. Security has to be airtight. You're dealing with deeply confidential client information. And maybe the toughest part of all, you have to be able to prove that the AI's answers are correct. Verifiability is everything. Just take a look at this question. It's a mouthful, right? Believe it or not, for a system like Harvey, this is considered an average complexity query. It's not a simple search for a keyword. It's a really sophisticated question that demands a deep understanding of multiple, overlapping legal concepts all at once. So let's break that down. To even begin to answer that question, the AI first needs to do a semantic search to figure out what a phrase like applicable regime even means in this context. Then it has to do a precise keyword match to find that exact directive. After that, it has to apply a super strict date filter. And to top it all off, it has to use multi-part logic to tie that directive and that article together correctly. It's this complex, multi-step dance, and every single step has to be perfect. And this brings us to a really critical insight. The solution to these kinds of problems isn't just about finding some magical, smarter algorithm. Nope. The real secret where the best teams are spending all their time and energy is on building a rock-solid system for evaluation. They call it evaluation-driven development, and it just means that every single change, every tweak is tested relentlessly and rigorously. But there isn't just one way to evaluate, right? It's a whole spectrum. On one end, you've got your fast, automated metrics, things like precision and recall. They're great for iterating quickly. But on the total opposite end, you have the gold standard, full manual reviews by human legal experts. The quality is unmatched, but it's also incredibly slow and expensive. The real trick is to use a smart mix of everything to get that perfect balance between speed and quality. Okay, so this all leads to the big, fundamental question. We've laid out the problem, we understand the scale, we see the need for this intense evaluation. So what kind of digital plumbing, what kind of infrastructure can actually hold all of this up? And the answer is, well, you can't just use the old tools off the shelf. It won't work. These new, complex AI problems are forcing us to invent a whole new category of tools.
we're seeing the rise of what's called AI native infrastructure, stuff that's been built from the ground up specifically for these crazy AI workloads.
And that is where a technology like LanceDB enters the picture. The heart of these modern AI systems is something called a vector embedding. It's a really cool way to turn complex data, like the actual meaning of a legal clause, into a string of numbers. Think of it like a coordinate on a giant map of ideas. The closer 2 points are on the map, the more similar their meanings are. LanceDB is built to search these maps at lightning speed, but it's way more than just a vector database. It's an AI-native lakehouse, a single, unified home for the entire journey of AI data, from search and analytics all the way to training new models.
So let's dig into the advantages of this new approach, because it's really about completely rebuilding the foundation for how we think about and handle data in the age of AI. This visual really says it all. The old way, it's a total nightmare. You've got your vectors over here in one system, your original text files in another, your metadata somewhere else entirely, and AI teams spend a ridiculous amount of time just trying to keep all these different copies in sync. The LanceDB way creates a single source of truth, one unified place where vectors, text, metadata, even images or audio all live together on simple object storage. No more gluing things together. And the core technology that makes this all possible is a new open source data format called Lance. Now, for the data engineers watching, this quote sums it up perfectly. It basically takes the power of established formats like Parquet and Iceberg, which are awesome for analytics, and completely re-engineers them for the specific things AI needs. And this table shows you exactly why that was so necessary. Old formats like Parquet are really fast if you want to scan a whole column for analytics, but they're super slow at the kind of pinpoint random access you need for fast AI search. They also get really inefficient with big files like PDFs. Lance was designed from day one to do it all. Super fast search, efficient handling of large files, and still have those fast analytics scans. It's built for the mixed-up workloads that define modern AI. And the performance you get from this architecture, it's just incredible. With this kind of setup, you can index over 3 billion vectors. That's a colossal data set in less than 3 hours. This kind of speed and scale, running efficiently on cheap cloud storage, suddenly makes these enormous AI projects actually feasible, when before they might have been way too slow or expensive. All right, let's zoom back out. After this deep dive on the legal frontier, what can we all take away from this? What are the big lessons for where AI is headed?
I think it really boils down to 3 key things. First, you can't just throw generic AI at a hard problem and expect it to work. You need deep domain understanding to build creative solutions. Second, iteration is king. You have to be able to build and change things fast, but that speed has to be built on a foundation of really tough evaluation. And finally, you just can't build the future on yesterday's tools. The next wave of AI absolutely depends on new infrastructure, built from scratch for this massive multimodal world.
And that really brings us to the final thought here. The legal industry is one of the first places that's pushing AI to its absolute limits. But it's not going to be the last. As we start applying AI to medicine, to scientific discovery, to finance, the data and the challenges are only going to get more complex. And the big question we should all be asking ourselves is this: is our infrastructure truly ready for what's coming next?